Coming up, a relative of U.S. Representative Tom Cole will be inducted into the National Native American Hall of Fame. Find out who. A report from the Phoenix PD gets concerning reactions from local Indigenous leaders. A gathering of experts in the Pacific Northwest advances language. Plus, electronic ballots are new to tribes in Nevada. How will it affect the swing state? Next on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Support for the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez comes from the Arizona PBS studios in Phoenix at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University.
Amidawa Hopa. Thank you for joining us. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. We start today in the Pacific Northwest, where for the first time, the U.S. government has acknowledged that the dams it built caused harm to Native American tribes. Last week, federal officials admitted that over the past century, it devastated tribes by overwhelming their villages with rapid economic development and destroyed salmon populations in order to bring electricity and jobs to the area. The Columbia River Basin, an area roughly the size of Texas, was once the world's greatest salmon-producing river system. According to a new report, the Biden administration states the government afforded little consideration to tribal communities, including to their cultures, sacred sites, economies, and homes. Well, later this week on Wednesday starts a week-long celebration of Indigenous cultures on the Mall in Washington, D.C. ICT's Shirley Snavy tells us more.
Since 1967, the Smithsonian Folklife Festival has graced the National Mall. This year is special. Clifford Murphy directs the Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage.
We're going to be partnering with the National Museum of the American Indian, and the festival will commemorate and celebrate the 20th anniversary of the opening of that museum on the Mall in Washington.
Amazing to see all these Native people come together. So proud to have a museum on a national level, international level. I'm just honored to be a part of it.
We are here right now. 40 million Indigenous people throughout the Americas and in hundreds of culturally distinct communities. And we will insist that we remain a part of the cultural future of the Americas.
The festival runs June 26 to July 1st. Visit festival.si.edu.
60 reservations around the U.S. are called food deserts. It is an area where it's difficult to buy affordable and quality food. Montana's Fort Belknap Reservation is part of a nationwide effort to get fresh and traditional foods to income-eligible households. But last summer, the state health department condemned the commodity distribution center due to mold, a leaking roof, and electrical issues. Director Tricia Blackcrow and program assistant Tricia Work said moving to a new location means they can't store as much food as before.
It's a sad thing because, we had to put a lot of money into getting refrigerators and freezers. And over there, we had a walk-in fridge and a walk-in freezer.
And they were nice.
And we had enough to last over a month and a half,
Mm-hmm.
And now we don't have enough room to even last a month.
I mean, for our community, there's always going to be hardships throughout. And, it's overcoming everything. And we just kept on going.
The commodity program now works out of the Fort Belknap Community Center, taking up space that has pushed out some community events. The program will look for a more permanent home, but for now will continue to operate out of the community center, helping people on Fort Belknap to get fresh food on the table. Moving internationally, Canada Post is honoring a world-renowned Native American water rights activist in this year's Indigenous Leader Stamp Series. Anishinaabe environmentalist Josephine Mandamin is one of 3 inspirational individuals featured on the stamps. Mandamin co-founded the Mother Earth Water Walk movement, drawing attention to the pollution and degradation of the Great Lakes and on First Nations reserves across Canada before passing in 2019. A ceremony commemorating Mandamin and her activism was held last week in Ontario and included her friends, family, and members of the community. Others featured on the series include Métis artist Christy Belcourt and Inuk artist Alyssa P. The U.S. Department of Justice has just released its findings after a years-long investigation into the Phoenix Police Department, finding malpractices on its use of force and enforcement of the law. ICT's Daniel Herrera starts our reporting.
The DOJ has recently released its report on the Phoenix Police Department.
We actually haven't had any opportunity to really digest it. All we can do is take at face value what the Assistant Attorney General said in her press conference.
The report found that the Phoenix PD has systematic problems that deprive people of their rights under the Constitution and federal law. According to the report, Phoenix PD uses excessive force, including unjustified deadly force. Shula Berlinger, CEO of Native American Connections, says this does not surprise her.
My initial thoughts were just, it's nothing new.
The report also found the police department to discriminate against Native American, Hispanic, and Black people when enforcing the law. Phoenix City Manager Jeff Barton says he does not like what he's heard from the findings.
It's not something that I like to hear, especially as a minority Black man myself.
The DOJ also found reasonable cause that the Phoenix PD violates the rights of people experiencing homelessness. According to the report, the police department detains and arrests homeless people without reasonable suspicion that they are involved in criminal activity. Second, the city and Phoenix PD seize and destroy property belonging to people who are homeless without providing adequate notice or opportunity for them to collect their belongings. Interim Police Chief Michael Sullivan says this finding surprises him.
I was a little bit surprised with that. I've been here since 2022, and I've had people reach out seeing how we deal with it, how we lead with services.
Jessica Cruz, Senior Director of Homeless Housing Services at Native American Connections, says there are accounts of police violating the rights of the unhoused.
We are aware of some accounts where, that has happened. And it's unfortunate because, there often are behavioral health concerns and disabilities, that our Phoenix PD unfortunately use excessive force and maybe not the most appropriate, actions.
So, what is the Phoenix PD doing to solve these issues?
We're in the process of training the entire department in that policy to make sure that they understand it. We also brought in evidence-based training that is about de-escalation. And we've gotten a good number of the department through that training, and that's ongoing as well. We have also trained in active bystandership for law enforcement. It's talking about intervening in situations to make sure that we don't have situations where there's misconduct and somebody doesn't step in, regardless of rank. So those are 3 big initiatives that are ongoing right now.
For ICT News, Daniel Herrera Carbajal.
We turn to Oklahoma now, where famed storyteller and actress Teyata Fisher will be inducted this fall into the National Native American Hall of Fame. Her great-nephew, U.S. Representative Tom Cole, will accept the honor on her behalf because she passed away in 1995. Our Stuart Huntington visited with Representative Cole about this milestone.
Representative Cole, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
Sir, Mary Frances Thompson Fisher, better known as Teata, is being inducted into the National Native American Hall of Fame, and you, sir, are going to represent her at the ceremony. That seems like quite an honor.
It is a terrific honor for me. It's a terrific honor for our family, and it's a terrific honor for our tribe, Chickasaw Nation, which has recognized her so much, and so it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people. She was an extraordinary figure. Most people don't know this, but she delivered the first White House entertainment in the East Room for President Roosevelt in March of 1933, when Prime Minister of the British Empire, Ramsay MacDonald, visited. She entertained at Hyde Park when the King and Queen of England came in 1939. So she performed all over the world. There's a lake named after her in New York, which is a long way away from Chickasaw country. If you go to, there's books about her, plays about her, movies about her, thanks to my tribe. So an extraordinary woman, extraordinary life. And we're very proud to see it recognized in this way.
Sir, I wonder if you could share with us an anecdote from your life and interactions with her.
Well, I can share so many because she was the great matriarch of the family, and we are a matriarchal people. But I remember one. I mean, the joke in my family is you could look at me and my brother, and you'd say my brother could lead a Chickasaw war party. I look like I'm one of the guys they brought back. I mean, I've got the Scotch-Irish side of our family, and he's got all the lovely color. And so as a young person, I would be teased about this. My family always raised us to be very proud that we were Chickasaws, that we're Native. And I remember mentioning this on the playground one day. Somehow it came up, and kids are pretty tough. And well, you're not Indian. You don't look like you're an Indian, so you can't be an Indian. And I went home, and Teata happened to be visiting us for dinner. And I looked at her and I said, "Aunt Teata, how much Indian am I?" And she goes, "Wrong question." I'll never forget, because her nostrils flared out, her eyes narrowed. She again, wrong question. You either are or you aren't, and you are. So it sort of settled my identity for the rest of my life, because this most important figure had told me that this is a matter not just of blood quantum, but of cultural affiliation, of history, of whatever. And again, I always say this about Native Americans. You never ask anybody, how much American are you? I mean, you either are or you aren't. So why? And when I talk to non-natives, they'll ask me quite often, how much Indian are you? No Indian ever asked me that. I mean, they don't look at it that way. And I think so many people see tribal affiliation as simply racial identity. That's not what it is. It's a political identity. It's a cultural identity. It's an historical identity. And I think my great aunt knew that more than most. And she never gave an inch in terms of the identity and the importance of the role of Native Americans in the broader American history and the unfolding American story. She was very determined to represent that in a very positive way, and a very proud way that recognized our past, but also recognized we have a future inside this larger collective, and we can participate in that without giving up our identity. But I never met anybody that was prouder of being Native, or prouder of their tribe, or more optimistic about the future of Native Americans and her particular tribe than my great aunt Teata. She literally was never, ever anything other than proud and positive about her Native heritage and her tribal heritage. So to see her recognized like this, again, it's a wonderful thing for our family and certainly our tribe, but I think also for all Native Americans, because it's a very positive story about who we are and what we can accomplish.
You've touched on this in many ways, sir, but if Teata had a message for a young Chickasaw woman today, what might that be?
Your possibilities are endless, but to never compromise on who you are, what your heritage is, be proud of it, participate in it, and never give an inch in terms of protecting our cultural identity and our role in the country. But again, don't be shy. Take your talents out to the world.
Representative Cole, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's very much my honor, and thank you so much for recognizing, I think, an extraordinary woman, a great Native American, and a role model, quite honestly, for all people in the country. And I always say, if you have a daughter, you particularly want to know her, because she was, again, way ahead of her time, not just in advocating for us, but in letting people know there was an important role for women, and particularly Native American women, to play in the broader culture. And she played it to the hilt, to the very last day of her life, and that was almost 100 years. So extraordinary life.
Hotter summers, longer pollen seasons, and record rainfalls. These changing patterns are putting our health and the health of those we love at risk. So, communities around the country are taking steps to prepare. State, local, and tribal health officials are using the Building Resilience Against Climate Effects framework developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, called BRACE for short. The 5-step process is used to develop strategies and programs that help communities prepare a coordinated community response to the health effects of a changing climate. Step 1 is identifying what climate effects are relevant locally, how those might lead to new or expanded health threats, and who is most at risk. The next step is to calculate expected impacts on the local population, and then rank the severity of each threat. This is called projecting the disease burden. What it does is it helps health officials tackle the worst risks first. Step 3 is to identify ways the community can intervene to prevent or reduce health effects. For example, health officials who are expecting more high heat days might consider if it would be more effective to open community cooling centers or to collaborate on housing and development plans to protect vulnerable residents. Then in step 4, health officials work with other community sectors to develop and implement their plan. For example, health officials may work with city planners to reduce the impact of urban heat islands, or with broadcast meteorologists to alert people to prepare for extreme weather. Step 5 is evaluation. Health officials assess the success of their adaptation plans and gather lessons learned to apply for future activities. These 5 steps in the BRACE framework are designed to be flexible and responsive to local needs. Any community, whether urban, suburban, rural, or tribal, can use BRACE to prepare for the local health impacts of a changing climate. To learn more, visit cdc.gov/climate and health.
With less than 150 days until November's general election, many are bracing themselves for what's expected to be a close and contentious presidential race. In Nevada, there's a new voting process for certain groups, including for Native American people, which are a key demographic in the swing state. Americans use the internet for virtually everything, from learning the news and paying bills, and now for Native people in the Silver State to vote. Nevada's newly unveiled process, called the Effective Absentee System for Elections, or EASE, grants any tribal citizen who lives on a reservation or colony to receive and return a ballot electronically through a secure online system. Over 30 states allow certain voters to return ballots this way. In most cases, it's for those who serve in the military or for U.S. citizens who live abroad. In West Virginia, first responders on duty outside their county are eligible, and in Texas, astronauts are able to cast a ballot through an online portal. Nevada is believed to be the first to add tribal nations to its list, according to the Associated Press. The homelands of the Walker River Paiute stretch between Las Vegas and Reno. It is just one community where Native Americans have historically had issues accessing the ballot box.
We didn't get the total right to vote in every state until, I believe, it was 1964.
There are 28 tribal nations here, an estimated 158,000 Indigenous voters in a state where President Joe Biden won the 2020 election by just 2 percentage points. And while voting online has the potential to boost Native voter turnout, there is one big limitation: internet access.
Right now our tribe is working on updating our broadband system on the reservation. So again, a lot of people don't have internet service yet.
The ease system was available for the 2024 presidential primaries, but no one from the Walker River Paiute tribe used it. Teresa McNally, the clerk-treasurer of Mineral County, says this could have been from a number of factors, including that tribal citizens didn't know it was an option.
I probably need to work on my advertising of the ease system a little more. As we were talking about the tribe, I don't know how much knowledge they have on it. I have not went out and educated them.
As for the safety of the ease system, it was designed with security measures in mind that verify a voter's eligibility and undergoes regular reviews. There are also precautions that ensure folks are not casting multiple ballots.
I am confident in our system. One is the verification process, but it's also to being able to validate the voter in a secure way.
Walker River Paiute chairwoman Andrea Martinez says she's hopeful in the system.
I think that would be a great idea to not only educate our youth because they're more tech savvy in that area, but also utilize them to teach our elders.
For ICT News, Aaliyah Chavez.
Nitsika tai gitse. Nitsika tai gitse means I feel the good in what you've done. Nitsika tai gitse. Nitsika tai gitse. I feel the good in what you've done.
The Celebrating Salish conference held in Spokane, Washington, is the largest language gathering of native speakers in the Northwest United States. Speakers and learners of interior Salish languages came together to expand their language skills and share their success stories. Liz Dempsey reports on the most popular way to celebrate at the conference. Take a look.
The highlight of the Celebrating Salish conference is karaoke night. But this isn't like any other karaoke night. The contestants sing in Salish. People attended the 3-day event, making it the largest Salish conference in the 14 years it has been held. The goal of the conference is to have Salish speakers come together and share what's happening in their communities and get re-energized about language preservation efforts. A variety of Salish-speaking tribes are represented with different dialects and different ways of spelling, but there is a common understanding when Salish is spoken. J.R. Bluff, Director of Language for the Kalispel Tribe of Indians, doesn't want Salish to be studied from a book, but something to bring to every day of life.
And our elders and the way they look at us is, that language is just standing out the door waiting to be welcomed in. And we're inviting them in and we're embracing them. And we're gonna, with their guidance, we're gonna make this happen.
One workshop focused on the tribal language fitting into the contemporary music scene. This Salish-speaking presenter said it's difficult to translate an English song into Salish and to rhyme.
It's very easy in English to find rhymes or rhyming words. Hence you got like slam poetry, you got hip hop, you got rap artists who can say 100 rhyming words in 2 or 3 sentences. It's a lot more difficult in Secwepemctsín.
Some karaoke contestants transcribed songs into Salish themselves. Some asked elders or fluent speakers to transcribe and record it. Araya Torfstud and Isabella Horn asked an older student from the Salish School of Spokane for help.
There's our principal teacher. He went and he helped us translate it. And then his granddaughter sang the song
for us
put it a video record so that we could listen to it. And then I went and stayed over at her house and we practiced for a couple of days. Yeah.
Attendees left the conference to bring ideas about language lessons back to their communities, and some with prizes for their karaoke performances.
It's just beautiful, right? Beautiful. Our kids singing, our people singing to one another.
Reporting for the ICT Newscast from the homelands of the Salish, Calypso, and Kasanka people, I am Liz Dempsey with the University of Montana School of Journalism.
That is a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.